You can be thriving in your work and personal life, hitting every milestone on your vision board, and still have days where you feel low, insecure, or overwhelmed. That's not failure, that's just life. And in today's episode, we're going to poke some holes in this idea of becoming your highest self. And it feels like a contradiction to even be saying that because I love talking about becoming your highest self. Like, I love personal development. But there are ways in which becoming your highest self can go wrong, where you are striving to hit this flawless, perfect destination instead of enjoying the journey. And you might be setting yourself up for failure depending on how you view you as your highest self. So let's get into it because it's going to be interesting to talk about. Welcome to the Fire Inside podcast. I'm Sade Kelly, your host, time management coach, and CEO of the Fire Inside, where I help ambitious women like you reclaim your time and design a life you love through intentional time management strategies. And today I'm going to be going in depth on just some thoughts I have around becoming your highest self, how we design that, and ways in which we are going wrong, and how we can turn it back to a more realistic way to become better and strive for more. So when I think about becoming your highest self, I think of how we all create vision boards, or we like to go on Pinterest and look at all these videos and pictures of all these places we're looking to go, all these goals we're looking to achieve, and how we have all these affirmations we love to say to ourselves, or how we've written out our dream day and we like to script how exactly we would want our life to look like. Like, this is things I do every single day. I mean, I've used ChatGPT to help me create my ideal day, really paint the picture, think about what my ideal lifestyle will look like. And I think all of those things are wonderful. I think we need to have an understanding of where we're going. We need to be able to visualize it because our brain thinks in pictures. Visualizing is so important because we tend to think of things in picture form. So for instance, if I say the word lemon, what came to your mind? I bet it wasn't the letters LEMON. It was an actual lemon. You could see it, right? So we think in visuals. So it's amazing to write down and to visualize where we want to be and how we want our life to go and what we want it to look like. And in past episodes, we've talked about defining success for ourselves, but sometimes when we're writing out our ideal days, it's almost as if it's too perfect. Like, for instance, I wrote out what I would want my ideal day to look like, how much money I would be making, what my business would look like, how many children I would have, where my husband and I and our family would live, the access to the private planes we would have, or what our property would look like, or who we'd be friends with, what we'd be wearing, the gym that I'd have at my house. Like, I love writing those things specific, making them measurable, making them tangible, figuring out how I can get there. But in that ideal day, nothing went wrong. And that's just not realistic. Now, it's almost like the idea of how a lot of times when people are trying to visualize themselves like running a marathon, we think about the perfect shoes we'll have on, the most comfortable sneakers. We're going to have our music in our ears. We're going to feel really energized that day. We're going to have an amazing breakfast that gets us energized and pumped. And then we're going to run that marathon and we're going to get to the end and it's all going to go well. But we don't think about the days where we're training for the marathon, our shoelaces untied, it's raining, our AirPods just died, and we are exhausted, right? And those days are going to happen. So when we are thinking about our ideal life and our ideal days and our highest self, we have to realize that even our highest self, our most amazing self, our richest self in all aspects of life, not just monetary rich, is going to have down days. They're going to go through tough times. They're going to experience grief. They're going to experience sadness. They're going to experience insecurity and financial scarcity at times. Like, there are going to be moments where things go wrong. I was just listening to Myron Goldman, who's an entrepreneur. You should look him up if you don't know who he is. And he was talking about he had hit millions of dollars and then still ended up in millions of dollars of debt and still had to rebuild. He had lost his son and he went through a really down time after years and years of trying entrepreneurship, and he had to start all over. Can you imagine hitting what you think, quote unquote, is your highest self and then still going back to the bottom and having to rebuild again? A lot of times when we're trying to strive to be our highest self, we're not thinking about those things. We're not thinking about the journey of it and how it's not always going to take away all our self-doubt. It's like we want to be so confident, but we think that once we get into this confident place that we're never going to feel scared or we're never going to feel insecure. And that just doesn't happen. I remember someone asking me like how I got so good at public speaking, how I had the confidence to speak on live or speak on stages or speak on a podcast. I am scared every single time. There is not one time where I sit down to record this podcast or record a live or record content or go speak on stages or host a challenge or a webinar and I'm not scared. I'm always scared, right? But I use that as fuel. I'm still confident in the message that I'm giving because I know there's someone who needs to hear this message. I visualize the women that I am helping and I speak to her and that helps me to get through it. But I still am sweating most of the time. I'm still nervous. I'm still trying to figure out, and I'm in my head like, am I getting the words across? Did I even say the things I want to say? Is my point coming across? Am I following my notes? Like I still go through all of the things, even though I can sit here and say I'm a confident public speaker, that I do enjoy public speaking. I'm always scared before I go out and do it. I just always am. And I don't think that's going to go away. And my whole purpose for even doing this episode is that I want you to figure out how you can be both a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. Like how you can be striving to become your best self, but know that even when you feel your best, you're going to have moments where you feel your worst as well. That this is what life looks like. And I don't know that I have specific strategies or tips, but more so this is like me almost like a video diary in a way, just spitting out this idea that I hope gives you some insight and helps you to figure out how you can stop idolizing this fantasy version of yourself and start idolizing, or maybe idolizing not the right word, but striving to become this version of yourself that is better, that is happy, that is content, that overall feels optimistic, but knows that she's going to go through some things, that nothing's ever going to be perfect, that she's going to be thrown curveballs. And that is the point of life. I always think to this, I always go back to 50 Cent and how he says like, joy wouldn't feel so good if it wasn't for pain. Like we wouldn't enjoy good things. We wouldn't enjoy the sunshine if there wasn't any rain, right? We have to know that, or we have to at least accept that there's going to be ups and downs to life. And even when we're trying to become our best self, the perfect person doesn't exist. There is no growth without imperfection. So why are we trying to get rid of all of our flaws? It's just never going to happen. And one way in which I see this with my clients is a lot of times I ask them, what do you want out of our coaching relationship? Like, what would make you feel like you are managing your time well, that you are no longer overwhelmed, and that you're really organized? And a lot of times, many of them are describing a perfect person. And I love to start off with that because they think, oh, I'm going to describe to her exactly how I want to be, and I'm going to get to that in 3 months, and I'm going to be amazing, and I'm always going to stay there. And no, that's not going to happen. I hate to burst their bubble, but what we end up talking about is that we can get you to a place where you have the tools and the tactics to know how to plan your week, to know how to plan around your energy, to know how to adapt when things go wrong, to know how to be consistent and have self-discipline. But you're going to have days when you don't want to do this. You're going to have days where you don't have the willpower. You're going to have days where you have to push yourself to keep going and doing the tools and tactics, and you have to work through your mindset. You're going to have days where you feel like, whoa, I thought I got to a place where I believed I was enough, and I let go of those inadequate times, or I let go of those grief, or I let go of those hard things I went through and that trauma. No, you're going to have days where you're going to feel like you didn't do any of the healing work. You're going to have days where you're down and you maybe need to cry a little bit. And that's going to happen. So I always love to show my clients, like, you're going to have days where you're going to feel overwhelmed again, but you're going to know exactly how to stop yourself from getting to that spot. So you don't know how to prevent it. Or if you do get to that spot, you're going to know exactly what to do to get yourself out of it. It's not about getting to a place where you're perfect. It's about getting to a place where you know how to resolve issues as they come about, where you're confident in who you're becoming, where you know how to maneuver and you understand your patterns and your personality, and you know how to overcome things. And that's when we are getting to a place where, yes, we can become our highest self, but it doesn't mean that we are becoming our perfect self. And I think that's the biggest difference that I see when I'm talking to clients, or when I'm even thinking about my highest self or what my ideal day looks like, is like, I know that I can be becoming something that I want to become without doing it in a performative way where I'm trying to be perfect or come across as perfect. Like, I manage my time very well. A lot of people say I'm super disciplined, but I have days where I don't want to be. I still have days where I feel down. I still have days where I want to be in bed all day, right? And that rarely happens because I have a child now. But either way, I still am going to have those days. So how do we consume personal development content and strive to be better and work on ourselves without grinding too much and trying to become perfect? We find the middle ground and we define what it looks like for ourselves. I see this all the time online. Like, I've seen people talk about, I really want to be productive, but I also want to have work-life balance. I really want to have more times of rest, but I don't want to fall behind and feel lazy. You get to define what that looks like. A lot of times we're letting society define that for ourselves, but I want you to figure out how you can define what success looks like for you from day to day, what your ideal day looks like, what your highest self looks like with all her flaws, not just all of her perfections and beautiful parts of herself, but what it should look like holistically. And only you can determine that. I would love for you to think through that and figure out like how you can use personal development and use all the things you're working towards and reading all the books and having all the resources. How can you make it where you're learning things from that and you're implementing that and you're empowering others, but you're still validating the parts of you that don't always feel up to doing things, and you're still validating the parts of you that still have flaws, and you're still validating the parts of you that you have to learn to accept? Like, how can we do that? I think that is something that I want to explore deeper, that I would love for you to explore deeper. What does your highest self look like? Maybe that's your action item for this episode. What does your highest self look like with her flaws as well? So how can we still have an ideal day, but know that things can go wrong throughout the day? Like, it feels kind of weird to even think about that, right? Like, thinking about how, I'm going to sit down at my desk and maybe my launch is not going to go the way I wanted, or my computer is acting crazy, or Zoom just shuts off in the middle of a meeting. But I still had an amazing day at the end of the day. I still knew how to maneuver. I still knew how to laugh at, things going wrong throughout my day, or me being stuck in traffic and being late to something, even though I left 30 minutes early. Like, how can I still have those things that go wrong and feel like I'm still overall having a great day and living a great life? Like, I think that is the key. And that's what I'm working towards. And I want you to figure that out too. Like, redesign your Pinterest board or your ideal day and think about how you can intertwine some of the hard moments into things you're striving for. Like, know that, yeah, you want to become a millionaire, but you're going to have times where you feel self-doubt throughout the process. You're going to have times where you're going to need to lean on a mentor. Maybe you invest in a coaching program that didn't plan out how you wanted, but you still found something that you learned from it, and you still found ways to be optimistic about where you're going. Like, how can we balance both of those parts of life, the good, the bad, the in-between, and still overall feel content, still overall feel like we're becoming our best self, that we know we're living in our purpose and we're doing things we're passionate about, even if we're going through hard times, because we're never going to get to a place where we're not going through hard times. And I think a lot of us just think, once we hit that one goal, once we hit that one amount of money we have coming in, once we hit this, things will be better. A lot of times, once we get to a new level, there's new devils, right? People always say, once you hit a new level, there's new things that arise. And it's true. Every time I've hit a milestone, like, I remember really wanting to start my business. I started a business. It didn't go exactly as planned, right? And then I ended up starting 2 other businesses that didn't go exactly as planned. Then I started a 4th business, and that business took off. This is the coaching business. It was amazing for a long time. I quit my job, and I thought that was like the biggest thing. That was all I could think about in that moment. I had tunnel vision on. I needed to just make at least 3 times what I make in a month, and I would totally leave my job. And then I hit like crazy months, and I was like, oh my God, like, this is crazy. I can make all this money online. Like, it's happening. And then I had new problems that arose. I had new things that came up that I had never had dealt with. And that just is going to continuously happen in your work life, in your personal life, with your dynamics of your family as you grow older and you figure out that now you're separating from different things and you have different friends who can't relate to what you're going through. And some people are in your life for a season and some people are there for a reason and then they leave. Like, all of those things are bringing us back to skills and parts of ourselves that we need to learn so that we can live in the image of God, like so that we can fulfill our purpose that we have here. But we have to go through those things. And a lot of times we don't want to go through those things. We want to just think about the positive and the ideal day and our highest, best, perfect self. But we need to do that with a more realistic lens. And that's really what this is all about. So for your overall action item, I would love for you to just think about that. Like, what does your highest self look like with her flaws as well as her amazing, empowering aspects of herself? Like, what does that look like? What does it look like to still have bad days and still be powerful at the same time? Like, how can we have both those parts of our identity and embrace both of those things where we accept where we're at, we still strive for more, and we feel content throughout the process? Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I hope that the message came across the way I think it did. And let me know what you think about this topic and if it was enlightening for you or how you balance the complexities of just being a human and being an ambitious person and striving to achieve things without being so hard on yourself and accepting that you are enough just as you are without all of the accolades and names and skills and letters next to your name. Like, how do you work on just accepting that you are amazing just as you are, but you can still have things you're looking to become better with and strive to have more and still embrace bad and hard times while also embracing and loving the good times? I would love to hear that. I would love to have a discussion in the comments. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and share this with someone that you think needs to hear this message as well, because I'm sure there are more people out here that need to give themselves grace in their growing periods and not be striving for perfection, because you are enough no matter what you are going through. And that is what I want you to remember overall. And as always, if you need help managing your time, being intentional about your work and your personal life, and just feeling balanced overall, I would love for you to book a time audit call with me where I help you to dissect and understand where you could be utilizing your time better and how you could be more intentional with your time and be achieving your goals in a peaceful manner. I will catch you guys in the next episode. Take care. Bye.